Welcome back. We got a nice one for you here. We got a burn deck. Oh, is he on Affinity?
He's been on Affinity ever since he got sick. Oh, that was bad.
Jeez.
Oh, man. I wish I could take that one back.
Jeez. I guess I'm not the only one saying offensive things on our commentary anymore. Adam Old's playing Elves. We saw him last match.
That's a nice 8 he's got there.
Does he have 8?
He might have 8.
He has such big hands. I can't tell.
Sorry, he's got 7.
7. 7. Alright. It looks like Zach's keeping his.
Adam's on the one-lander. On the draw, which is where I don't really like the one-lander, but...
Oh, see, this is where I don't care. You get 2 draws. Alright. So things that happen in rooms like this is like you get to know what everybody's playing kind of ahead of time. So
yeah.
So on that turn 1 there, Zach didn't play his Mox Opal, where in general in Modern, I get that into play. As there's very few spells that kill it, but there's a ton of spells that people main deck that will force you to discard it.
Right.
But there it didn't matter because...
Interesting decision point here.
You want cranial plating.
I agree. Cranial plating on a Scourge is the best thing you can have in Affinity here.
Correct. Alright.
But we've decided we don't want that, so...
And he's decided to split his...
Split his what?
See, okay, so he has the Blink Moth in play, and he's chosen to split his damage between Infect and regular poison
He
damage.
could have activated them both.
Yeah, I agree. He could have turned them both on. They could have both attacked. I don't know what happened there. I think we just had some wayward decision making. Because the Ink Moth didn't attack. I think it was summoning sick.
Ah. I see.
So here I just get, come on, cranial plating it up.
It's time.
Go nuts. Three. So he would have 5 artifacts naturally, and he could generate another one by animating the remaining land. It just seems very, see what we got here.
Needs to read Ravager.
So he's 6. 6 if he sacked just the Ravager. 7, 8, 9 if he were to sack the remaining 10. He could get there. Right. He can do this. All right. Yep. So he one-shots him with the Ink Moth Nexus.
Oh, no. I mean, I know it's dead, too. I mean, we were over there. Yeah. Oh, really?
All right. So, Adam's going to bring in some... I'm assuming if Path to Exiles aren't main, they come in.
Okay.
We saw him in his last match. And he probably has one additional Reclamation Sage.
Yeah. Do you think he's got like Stony Silence?
That's a possibility. I know he's playing the white version where he has. I've seen Kataki out of the board.
Ooh, Kataki. Me
Now
like
that,
you.
in my opinion, Kataki is way better than Stony Silence.
I agree.
Especially in this deck because you can Court of Calling for it.
Yeah. Or collect the company for it.
Or collect the company for it. And it locks it. It takes up so much more resource than Stony Silence. The Stony Silence, you push the cards out of the way that no longer do anything, and you just go at it and do the best you can with what you have left.
Right.
Whereas Kataki, like, you have to make this decision every turn about what do I keep, what do I, let die, do I, wait for a Ravager to come around until, it's just a ton of decisions to make.
Right.
No, I did. I missed a counter there. But I was, before I moved to combat, I was thinking that the Inkmon could attack that turn.
For the Affinity deck, Whip Flare is a solid one, I've heard.
Oh, yeah, Whip Flare is probably my favorite. The other thing that sometimes I have both of these cards in my sideboard depending on which metagame I'm thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
But I will play Whip Flare as well as Gear for Aether Grid.
Oh, yeah.
The
Aether Grid.
The Aether Grid, it's an additional...
Very nice one.
And you can almost take out your Galvanic Blasts. I'd have to look at his list. Etched Champion comes out for sure. So depending on how many Etched Champions you have, you can take those out. And,
Do you like Steel Overseer staying in?
yeah, Steel Overseer is fine. It lets you... If you turn 2 your Steel Overseer and they turn 2 their Elvish Archdruid, you're going to outclass them quicker. Because you get Anthem every turn, whereas they get 1 Anthem on the board.
Right, but the mana advantage from Elvish Archdruid is a whole other discussion.
That's a different angle. But you're basically both playing a bunch of small, irrelevant guys.
Right.
That need other cards around them to be good. And Steel Overseer, in my opinion, is just better than Elvish Archdruid at being the card to rally these crapper creatures around.
Rally the Crappers.
Rally the crappers. Get all them little crappy dudes all lined up for you.
I think we should just rename both of these decks Rally the Crappers. Green Rally the Crappers versus colorless Rally the Crappers. Let's make it happen, Jake.
So for as good as Rally the Ancestors was in its standard environment,
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't seen one in Modern.
Yeah, so the hate for it exists in Modern.
Right.
And is much more prevalent.
The other deck that was awesome in its standard environment and was super fun to play that never translated over to Modern was the Aristocrats deck. Do you remember that deck?
Yeah. I top-8'd my first SCG with that deck.
Wait a minute, you have an open?
Yeah. No, it was a classic.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't an open.
Oh, I did not know. If you had an open top 8 and I didn't know about it, I would be the worst friend.
I got 9th on Breakers in that open, and then top-8'd the classic the next day.
Nice.
Yeah, it felt bad. Did not feel nice.
Was that in Cincinnati? Was that a Cincinnati open?
It was Nashville.
All right. But yeah, I thought that deck was super good and super fun to play.
I agree. There have been attempts to bring it into Modern. Mostly unsuccessful, obviously.
Oh gosh, here's a Reclamation Sage and a Heritage Druid.
Feels good.
Real good. So next turn, Adam Wold is going to have all the mana he wants.
1 bajillion.
So, Zach has been sequencing his creatures in an order that lets him use his Steel Overseer to pump his Arcbound Ravager,
Right.
where if you have a card like Reclamation Sage against you, or like any removal spell, getting Ravager on the board first
Super
is
important.
very, very good. I mean, there's an advantage to it that is worth way more than an additional +1/+1 counter to toss around.
Sure. All right, so Dwynen's Elite is Zuri. So
Yeah, back-to-back collected companies here has made Adam Old's board pretty insurmountable.
what's his last card in hand, and why didn't he cast it? I'm
Well-
thinking it might be a Chord.
Gosh, if it's a Chord of Calling,
Well, it's a Chord of Calling you wins, because he can get Elvish Archdruid here.
yeah, just go nuts. All right. Okay, so Zach can only do 8 with this Nexus. He's gonna get the 2
So it's
poison
1,
in.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, you can get 8 in with the Nexus. It's not like you can do anything about it anyway. You can't block it.
Right.
Oh, the third company is...
Gosh. Oh, good word. This is the whole bit. There's 2 Elvish Archdruids. How much can he attack for this turn?
That'll
6,
do
7, 8. So he had 16 mana. He gets to overrun 3 times.
it. It's just disgusting.
Yeah. I was X2 at an SCG open with Affinity and got that exact thing happened to me where
Ugh.
if he hit 1 Archdruid, I was still alive.
Yeah.
But he hit both of them and it wrecked me. I was just like, this is the worst. To go to X3 and then I wound up X4 on the weekend,
Man.
which was good for some prize, but you know would have loved to win that match and parlayed it into a top 8.
Oh, yeah. So speaking of SCGs, we got 2 of them coming up in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is so crazy. One of them is modern, one of them is standard.
That's fantastic.
Very excited.
Which one's first?
Standard is first.
All right, good.
Good. Great.
The
Love standard.
do you not love standard?
Standard's fine right now.
I think after this weekend you're gonna really love standard.
I already like where standard's at because I can play new perspectives. But
So would you say printing this card has given you a new perspective on standard?
I would say that banning Felidar Guardian has given me a new perspective on standard. I was very happy about that card, but I was less happy about having to play it into an infinite combo.
You want to just your infinite combo?
Yeah, I just want my infinite combo, not their infinite combo. It's not really an infinite combo, per se.
It's just a lot.
Yeah, it's a finite combo.
Well, you can. Can't you go infinite with it because of the blue card that shuffles the deck back together?
No, because you have to exile that card.
Oh, sure.
So I can just do
What's
large
that
number.
card called? Why can't I think of that card?
Commit to memory.
Commit to memory.
I don't think they need to ban Gideon and Hart. I think that format just needs to adjust to those cards.
Yeah, you can't. Here's the thing: you can't just go around banning the best card all the time. Which
You
is
can't go around banning the worst card either.
no, but I think that's what they did when they banned Emrakul and Copter.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Is they just banned the 2 best cards?
Yeah, they absolutely should not have banned Emrakul, Copter, or Reflector Mage.
Oh, you think all 3 of those cards were fine?
I think the format that comes out of all of those cards plus the Felidar Guardian
combo.
Yeah, is very good and very deep.
All right. Yeah. So the outside of just straight up talking about how wide of a selection of decks you have, like
Yeah.
outside of that conversation being a measure of how good the format is. Not saying it shouldn't be. That is a great way to measure how good a format is.
Sure.
But thinking about how the type of play and how deep that play is when you're playing a match of Standard.
Yeah.
I felt that the magic that was being played in that format was very deep.
Oh, it was, and I like
and
that.
This is coming from a guy that I just couldn't buy a win in that Standard format.
Sure.
You watched me go to many FNMs.
I did.
Much to my frustration. Oh, here we go. This is an interesting one.
Oh wow. So here's my hand.
I'll tell you
Actually,
what.
not very good.
No, this is a great hand.
Okay.
He suits up this Ornithopter and just starts attacking. And I love this welding jar. 6.
Let's see it.
$14 life.
Jake, Marvel was getting pretty oppressive towards the end. I don't know how Marvel would have interacted with the Saheeli combo. Man. What a draw. So that's interesting, but really depends. So the Saheeli combo, I think, is more consistent than Marvel. The thing is, Marvel never really just killed you. They just Emeralded you, which can kill you. But you can just, Saheeli combo them the turn after you get Emerald, right?
I think if you build decks that create... So it looks like we're definitely going to get some backup match here. I can't imagine Victor Kurz was able to complete even one game in the 12 minutes we've allotted him.
Let's get these two idiots out of here and get the other two idiots in.
So, Jake, our spotter out here, the backup match is done as well. So Billy must have won that.
All right. So as to what Jake is saying, race between Marvel and Saheeli, I don't think Saheeli can beat the green-black Delirium deck if they have Emrakul as their endgame.
I also think if you build that deck just to outrace Marvel, you become way more susceptible to a card like Unlicensed Disintegration.
Right.
Especially if the Marvel deck also is just racing to do its biggest thing, I can very easily build a deck to beat both those decks at the same time.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I would have loved to have seen the format without any bans.
Yeah, and I think Mardu becomes a very it was high tier 2 before, and then became tier 1. I think it's still tier 1. I think you just have 6 viable decks at that point, and it's just very good format.
It's very interesting. All right, so we're gonna have many more interesting things to discuss here in about 30 minutes when we come back with our 4th and final round of Tuesday Night Modern.
Yeah.